Greetings and welcome back to the channel. When the narcissist suddenly changes. I want to talk about that today because you know there are so many instances that I have seen now over the last few years with individuals where they finally got rid of the narcissist, they've moved on with their life, they're actually doing better, things have come back to some semblance of decency, peacefulness. They have their life either in order or they're getting it together. And then that narcissist comes knocking at the door and it throws their world upside down. All these feelings come rushing back, all these emotions, all these things, the memories, the thoughts, and the doubt starts to creep in for a lot of people very, very quickly. Maybe they did change. Maybe this person really authentically did change who they are. Maybe I should give them a shot. Maybe I should open that door up one more time and just see. Just see. Guys, ladies, gentlemen, I cannot caution you any more strongly against doing that. I'm going to say this probably multiple times in this video, but this is a very important thing to understand. Even if, and I'm going to get to this, whether they changed or not, even if they did, let them change, let them be whoever they are now somewhere else. Let them be them, whoever they are, this fantastically changed person. That's great. Let them do it somewhere else with somebody else, not you. That time has passed. That ship has sailed. The train has left the station. Let them do it somewhere else. Because you cannot risk being wrong about this. This person will, if you're wrong, they will destroy your life and leave you far worse off than they did the first time. Trust me. It will be worse. One of the reasons why it will be worse is whatever hedge of protection you had around you spiritually, whatever amount God was protecting you, and for some of us it was a lot. For some of us, the situation with the narcissist could easily have been so much worse. For some, it already was a nightmare. It got to extremes. For some of us, it didn't. But let me tell you, whatever spiritual covering you had, whatever divine help and protection you had the first time around, that is gone. And you want to know why it's gone? Because you knew full well who this person is. You got the wisdom on narcissism. God handed you the playbook, this notorious playbook that they all play out of. God handed you the playbook. You got to see it. You got to know all the moves, the strategies, exactly who that individual really is and how evil they are. And you still let them back into your life again. Why would you expect God to help you there? And I'm not saying that he'll just abandon you forever. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the first time you fell into a pit, and I fell into a pit that we didn't understand. We're walking through the jungle, so to speak, and there's leaves and branches, there's big banana leaves, and sticks and everything covering a hole, and we fell into it. And God threw us a lifeline and he pulled us out. That's what it was like the first time you encountered the narcissist. You didn't know these things existed. You didn't know people like this existed. Yeah, you knew they were bad people, of course, but you didn't know people that played by a specific playbook, that is the devil's playbook, that did things in an exact order and sequence and as if they're just running on a script. And the script is for destruction. We didn't know that. So when we fell into that the first time, I'm not saying we had no blame, but we didn't know. We thought we were getting a good, loving, caring, honest person we could probably spend our lives with. That's what we thought, and that's what we hoped for, and that's what was presented to us. God pulled us out of that pit. He threw us a lifeline. And not only that, if you're on this channel or any others, and you know narcissism, even at all, you've gotten a little bit of the light bulb moment. You've gotten a little bit, much less the full extent like some of you guys have. He was then saying, look out through the rest of this jungle. Here's where all the holes are. Here's where all the pits are. Let me remove the branches and the leaves. Let me show you. See, those are pits. You know what they are now. You don't have to fall in them. I've given you the information. And getting back with the narcissist and letting them back into your lives is like ignoring everything God just told you and walking right over into the nearest, biggest pit and just whoop, jumping right into it. See, you have yourself to blame. If I allowed the narcissist back into my life, I'd only have myself to blame for whatever happened. Because I know she's wicked. I know who that person is. She showed me throughout the duration of the devaluation and after the discard. And I discarded her, but she showed me clearly exactly who she was. All the venom came out, all the toxic vitriol, all the darkness. I saw it plain as day. And then she went on to other people, just like they all do. The narcissist that you're dealing with, if they're back knocking at the door, they've been out rooting around like a wild animal, basically, in other trash cans. They move on and had situations, we'll say, with other individuals. That's an instant disqualifier as it is. If you're in a relationship and that relationship ends and that person goes off and they have situations with other people after that, that's done. It's done. Just that alone. But they did far worse than that. But to speak to the issue of, did the narcissist change? Guys, what is the one thing above every other thing you could say about the narcissist that we know to be true? It's said over and over on all kinds of channels, in all kinds of writing, by all sorts of people who have been through this or understand it even a little bit. What do we all say? Because it is gospel truth. What do we say? The narcissist doesn't change. They don't change. And they don't change 99.9999999 bar over the repetend % of the time. Has it ever occurred in the history of the world? Yes and no. It depends. Someone with a lot of narcissistic traits or somewhere on the spectrum, have they ever changed? Absolutely. When I was younger, I had some narcissistic traits. I wasn't a narcissist, a full-blown, no. But I had traits, because narcissistic traits are fallen, corrupt, human traits, sinful traits. That's what narcissistic traits really are. It's sinful, carnal, fallen characteristics. So, yes, of course, the sinner that comes to repentance, which is all of us, that person changed. They had narcissistic traits and they changed. But I'm not talking about them, are we? We're talking about people who, for the most part, are way down that spectrum, many cases completely reprobate, meaning morally depraved completely. They're gone. They took the path of darkness all the way. They're so far down that thing you can't even see them. Do those type of people change? Has a reprobate person, someone that's extraordinarily narcissistic, ever changed in the history of the world? I'm going to say no, because they can't. Once you get that far down, and I know the one I dealt with was that far down. I can't speak to the issue you. Maybe they were a little narcissistic. Only you know the spectrum they were on. I know the one I dealt with was extraordinarily wicked. Nothing has ever worked. It didn't work with me. It's not worked anything since then, and it never will. Imagine that person coming back, and I think, I'm going to give this a shot again. Maybe she really has changed. The one thing we know, guys, is 99.99% of the time, they don't. Much less, do you know what it really takes for an individual to authentically be a corrupt person, at least somewhat corrupt person, and to fully transition over to being a good individual? Do you know how much work that takes and how much time that takes? And you have to have a renewing of the mind, even to come to God, which is the only way to have the renewing of the mind and a spiritual transformation. Even then, it's not like it's instantaneous. You can be saved in an instant and come to know the Lord and be part of the kingdom. And of course, then you have to walk. You have to continue to walk in Him and abide in Him. But you can be transferred from a child of the devil to a child of God instantly by giving your life to the Lord. But that does not mean that you have a full spiritual makeover in an instant. Yes, things immediately start to change to a degree, but you have a lot to work on, do you not? I know I did. A lot. And I was not a horrible person before I became a believer. I wasn't a reprobate narcissist, nothing of the sort, but I still had a lot of work to do, and that didn't happen overnight. So how do you think this narcissist went off, did everything they did to you, found other people, continued to make a mess of things, and they suddenly just poof, magic, changed? How do you explain that? Why would you think that? Why would you even think that's a possibility with someone you know was that corrupt? Gets back to the point I made at the beginning. Even if by some insane miracle they did humble themselves, they did repent, they did reflect, they did put in work, you can't risk that. They need to go off and do that with somebody else. Even if by some miracle, and notice how loosely I'm saying this, because I don't buy that it happens virtually ever, and it never does with a reprobate. They can't. Even if you actually think maybe this person really did change, you gotta let them do it somewhere else, not with you. Not with you. That ship has sailed. You cannot risk that. Why would you? There are a lot of people in this world, and I know there's not a lot of good ones. And finding someone that you're physically and spiritually attracted to actually have a good relationship or much less a marriage is extraordinarily difficult today. But that doesn't mean that you just go be with somebody who you know is formerly wicked and probably still is. They showed you. They showed you who they are. And why are they coming back now? And how do they do it? Well, generally, when they do come back, they're going to present to you that they've changed. They've seen the light. The devil had me. I did this. I didn't see things clearly. I didn't appreciate you. I didn't. They're going to say anything that they need to say to get back in with you. That's how this works. Do you remember that very same person fooled you completely the first time? They presented to you someone you wanted to see, who was on your level, who appreciated you, who just wanted a good relationship, cared about you. This is going to be the greatest thing. That's what they presented, right? And then you got to see the devil for who they really are. The devil for who he is in the narcissist. You don't think that same person is capable of coming back and putting on a facade again? You don't think they're capable of coming back and putting on a song, a dance? Oh, I've seen the light. I've seen the light. I've changed. No, they have not. No, they have not. And it certainly didn't happen overnight. And it certainly didn't happen in 6 months or even a year. Genuine, authentic change, especially from someone who's got that many problems, it takes time. One of the things I thought about the narcissist that I dealt with was, throw out the idea with these guys of having a good, loving, reciprocal relationship that's steady and enjoyable. You can throw that out, right? That's outlandish with one of these people. But I thought to myself, this person is light years away from even being tolerable. Do you know how much work the narcissist in general would have to put in on themselves to even be a tolerable person? Someone that you could just kind of get along with. They're leagues away from that, much less someone you'd actually want to spend your life with. And even if you're lonely, if you're incredibly lonely, I understand, I feel for you. But that's also, this is going to be tough love. And I can say it because I've been there. I promise you. If you are extraordinarily lonely to the point where you are actually contemplating, it's okay to be with a wicked person. It's okay to be with an evil individual. At least I have somebody. If that's where you are, you have a lot of work to do on yourself. You do. I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings. If you would rather be with a wicked person than be on your own, there's a major problem. Am I right? There's something wrong in here with you. And I can say that because for a period of my life, I was extremely lonely. And I wanted someone so badly for a period in my life. But I did recognize, and God brought it to my attention even then, that's not natural. Brian, it's not. Why? Why am I not enough for you? Why is your life and the people you do have and your relationship to the Lord and your peace and your narrow path, your walk, why is that not enough? Why do you have to have someone in your life right now? Why? It's natural sometimes to feel lonely. I understand that. But if you would rather be with a wicked individual than be on your own, there's a major problem. You've got some work to do. You just do. Guys, of course the narcissist is going to come back and tell you they're different and change. And do you want to know why they're probably doing this? Because usually when they come back and they have the song and the dance going, they're in the pit. They're 6 feet down. Things have blown up with the person they're with. Maybe they're bankrupt. Maybe they've run out of supply. Maybe they've realized, I never will have somebody like that again. But that doesn't mean they're going to treat you well. It's always about them. With a narcissist, it is always 100% of the time about them. They're not coming back because they see how valuable and wonderful you are and they just want to take care of you and appreciate you. That's not why a narcissist does anything. Not with their children, not with their romantic partners, not with their parents and their friends and anyone else. Even when they do good deeds, it's for them. It's faux good. They're not coming back. They have not changed. They have not seen the light. What they've done is they've gone on an escapade with a bunch of other people probably and gotten themselves in other situations. And maybe they're broke and maybe they're sick and maybe they can't get supply anymore that's it worth anything. And maybe, again, maybe they do realize how good you really were. That doesn't mean they're going to treat you well. Doesn't mean that. They're not going to. They're incapable of it. And ask yourself the question, if this person came like an masqueraded as the devil does, as an angel of light, and they were going to be my person, they were going to be my husband, my wife, they were going to be the person I spent my life with, and we are going to fuse our lives together. And if you both had kids, we're going to be a stepfather and a stepmother, and we're going to have a happy family. And they presented all of these things, whatever it is they presented to you. It was all a complete lie. No part of it was the truth, was it? Because if it was, you wouldn't be in this situation. It wouldn't have ended. You wouldn't be watching this channel. You wouldn't be in the situation you are if any of that was true. Ask yourself the pivotal question. If they were willing to come and do that the first time, why would they not be willing to do it again? How could you ever trust a person who faked you out of your bootstraps in every single way for the express purpose of dismantling your life? But suddenly, oh, they wouldn't come back and pour on the sugar and syrup now. They wouldn't come back and tell me that they've changed and their world is different and they're just in it for me. They wouldn't do that. Oh, no, they wouldn't do that. You mean the very thing they did to you the first time? The very thing they did to me the first time? Oh, they wouldn't repeat that. Guys, they have put that show on for people their whole lives. Everyone they've ever gotten into a situation with, everyone they've ever tried to get into a situation with, and everyone probably that the relationship ended, they tried to do it again. This is the repetitious cycle of the narcissist. I'm passionate about this one, guys, because I know there are situations I personally know of, much less the ones I don't, where you're contemplating taking the devil back. The devil is knocking at the door right outside, and he's telling you, I'm not the devil anymore. Yes, I was the devil to you, but isn't it amazing? Like, few months went by, a year, couple years, I'm not the devil anymore. I'm not the devil. The narcissist relies, like the devil does, upon you forgetting the damage that they inflicted in your life. That's why they often will let time go on. I talked about this in a hoovering video recently. One of the reasons why the narcissist may not have returned yet is because they're giving it time. And they're hoping that in time, you'll forget about what they did to you. While they're busy with other things, they're also giving you time, hoping that you forget everything they did to you, so that when the devil comes and knocks at the door again, you don't see him for who he is. You see him masquerading as an angel of light once more, and you think he is the angel of light. Don't fall for this. None of you guys, don't fall for this. You know who they are. They showed you exactly who they are throughout the course of that entanglement. After that ooey gooey, fake facade, love bombing phase ended, everything else you saw was them. It was who they are. They're wicked to the core. They showed you who they are. Don't allow that person back in. Let them get it right. Let them change. Let them be this new person that they aren't somewhere else. Trust me, you'll thank me for this. You'll thank yourself for this. Consider this your warning. Don't ever let the narcissist back into your life. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was encouraging that it spoke specifically to some people. I will come at you with another one soon. Until then, God bless.